all three. Hope you're all doing good today. Today we're going to be going over some content over the Gilded Age, such as the Granger Movement, Sherman Antitrust Act, and unionism. We're also going to be talking about early reformers such as Thomas Nast and Jane Addams. We'll be mostly going over the Gilded Age and some topics like railroads and all that. So, hope you guys enjoy a little presentation today. Just sit tight and listen to us. Call us Reaction Team. The Granger movement was caused through farmers in the Midwest reactions to railroad and grain monopolies. This movement included the creation of the Grange, a farmer group dedicated to fighting monopolistic wrongdoings and encouraging political and economic well-being. To do this, they did such things as passing multiple laws for the state. They also brought farmers together to advance the art of farming too, which is pretty good. They also encouraged states to pass regulatory legislation to counter price fixing by railroad companies. This movement was an overall good effort in fighting the corrupt railroad industry, but due to the loopholes in the government's abilities, there wasn't the best intervention that could have happened. But we'll go into that later. One of the first things that the people, including the Grange, reacted to was the railroad companies and what they did. It can be said that the railroad companies were not without corruption. They used a handful of dirty tricks and other corrupted things to make money. They bribed judges and legislators for favorable votes. Yeah, you should support the railroads. Nah, I'm alright. No, let's go. Whole wheat bread? They employed arm-twisting lobbyists.
What the heck, man?
Support the railroads? They were elected to their own political offices.
Wait, can I be president?
Yeah, sure, why not?
And they gave their own rebates to companies that did a lot of business on the railroad. This meant that big companies effectively paid a lower rate than small companies, which paid a higher rate. Ow. Well, some people noticed that there was this corruption, but they were slow to combat it. However, the Grange was formed by farmers to combat such corruption. One of the things they did to call out this industrial problem was setting solutions and state laws that would hopefully be passed by the government. Here are some examples. Resolved by the farmers of Illinois in mass meeting assembled that all chartered monopolies, not regulated and controlled by law, have proved in that respect detrimental to the public prosperity, corrupting in their management and dangerous to republican institutions. Resolved that the railways of the world, except in those countries where they have been held under the strict regulation and supervision of the government, have proved themselves arbitrary, extortionate, and as opposed to free institutions and free commerce between states as were the feudal barons of the Middle Ages. Resolved that inasmuch as the Supreme Court has clearly pointed out the way to reach unjust discriminations made by the railroads of this state, we could see no reason for delay on the part of the legislature enacting the necessary laws on the subject, and would urge immediate action therein. That was some bad handwriting in there. These dictions heavily ushered the government into making railroads for the public to use and manipulate rather than having them there only for what it seemed to be profit and monopoly. Before we go on to the next topic of the multiple cases that resulted from the this Granger movement, we best talk about the block voting. Block voting is a theory that people with the same characteristics will vote in the same way. Generally, people of the same family, residence, geography, age, education, occupation will all vote for the same political party. This method of voting was clearly shown in the Grange movement. This is due to the mass cooperation of farmers everywhere who were affected by the grain and railroad practices and helped in conceiving the state laws. Munn v. Illinois introduced a short era in which U.S. public utilities were subjected to increased scrutiny. The Illinois legislature responded to the pleas of embattled farmers by enacting a law that established a maximum charge that could be imposed by grain storage facility operators. A Chicago warehouse known as Munn & Scott was found guilty in 1872 of violating this law. They appealed to the matter of the Supreme Court, which rendered a decision by 7-2 vote in March 1877. The majority upheld the Illinois law and reasoned that the state has legitimate police power to regulate private enterprises that may adversely impact the public interest. The court refused to accept the operators' arguments due to the due process clause. Instead, they say that the state might act even though in doing so it may indirectly operate upon commerce outside its jurisdiction. In the Wabash case of 1886, the Supreme Court reversed its position initially put forth in Munn v. Illinois by holding that Illinois legislation enacted to regulate railroad rates interfered with the Congress's ability to exercise its authority over interstate commerce. This ended the brief era of state railroad regulation. Early efforts to bring some form of regulation to the Giants were made at the state level, but was struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. In 1887, they passed the Interstate Commerce Act, which created the Interstate Commerce Commission, the first true federal regulatory agency. It was designed to address the issues of railroad abuse and discrimination and required the following. Rates had to be reasonable and just, secret rebates were outlawed, and discrimination against small markets was now made illegal.